Welcome back to the D1Softball podcast. I'm Jenna Becerra with my amazing co-host, Amanda Lorenz, and we are super excited for the show to be part of the Learfield family and the Varsity Network. So when you're out of town and want to keep up with live college sports, be sure to download the free Varsity Network app. Available for both Apple and Android. Get your games on the go with the Varsity Network app. Amanda, can you believe that opening weekend is in the books? I'm a little shook.
No, I can't believe we're already here, but I'm so excited about it.
Same. It's just crazy. I feel like we're moving so quickly, but we're here for it. So today's lineup, we are going to talk through the new top 25 rankings for week 1, give some thoughts on opening weekend, and then we have our interview today with Taylor Shumaker from Florida, who is fantastic, and we'll also wrap up with some plays of the week and the win and whiff of the week. You ready, Amanda?
Let's do it.
All right, first let's talk about our top 25. One thing to point out here is that we've actually seen softball now. We've seen the teams on the field. Unlike for the preseason, we're totally basing this off of what's on paper, what we've seen before, but now we actually have gotten to see teams play. Still a lot of softball to be played, but that's something we can keep in mind going into this week. So if we take a look at the poll this week, Florida's still at the top, unanimous number 1 in the D1Softball poll. Amanda's Gators just killing it. And then if you keep looking down through the rest of the top 25, a few shifts, but things that I want to call out are there are actually 3 teams that were not ranked in the preseason top 25 poll that have entered the rankings for the first time this year. So Mizzou, they went 4-1. They're jumping up in the poll at number 15. Mississippi State, they were 4-1 too. They beat Texas Tech and Nebraska. So they jump up in the poll to number 17. And then right after them, Mississippi State, there's another one. Number 18, FAU, Florida Atlantic. The Owls are 6-0 so far, and they got wins over Clemson, Ole Miss, and Kansas all in a row, actually, to start their seasons. So pretty exciting. And then, of course, the SEC still leads all the conferences with 11 teams, including 6 of the top 10. So very stacked. ACC and the Big 12 have 4 each. The Big 10 has 3. And now a third conference outside of the Power 4 represented with FAU. It's the American, in addition to the Patriot League and Conference USA. They all have 1 team. So, Amanda, initial reactions, I would say, to this updated poll now that we've seen 1 week of play.
Well, I think Florida getting the unanimous vote as number 1 is pretty huge, especially so early in the season with obviously you have OU and Texas who are still undefeated as well. And Texas obviously returned a bunch of their starting lineup. So that was like the biggest thing that stood out to me, obviously. And then probably Texas Tech at 11. I think that they made a statement. I know specifically of just, Justin had an interview with Coach Glasgow after one of the games saying like, hey, after the Nebraska game, why not starting Nyjah? And it was actually such a beautiful answer, what you want to hear from your head coach, of him saying like, hey, I know that Nyjah can do it, but I also wanted to prove to my whole team that our team is a really good team without Nyjah on the mound too. We don't just need one pitcher to carry us. We need to make sure that we have a whole ball club. And also he wanted to give her the opportunity to just focus on being a hitter. So I think that was really cool just to hear from your head coach, knowing like, hey, I have trust in everyone on this team and we need everyone on this team. So not only awesome, just like for the whole team, but cool for Nyjah too. Like, she had said in an in-game interview or after, like she wanted to hit, and that was like a big reason why she wanted to transfer as well. So that probably stood out to me and like stood out in their ranking being at spot 11, so early in the season too, after some big wins. But yeah, those were the things that stood out to me. What about you, Jenna?
I would say that definitely did. Both of those points are great. I think that there was just absolute chaos, right, this weekend. So you talked about the fact that Nyjah Kennedy and Texas Tech as a whole, they had a great weekend. They beat Nebraska, but Nebraska beat Tennessee. But then Mississippi State beat Texas Tech and Nebraska. But then Mississippi State got run-rolled by Duke, who lost to Northwestern, and just so on and so forth. Like there's absolute chaos. So it was interesting to see like how are things going to shake out. And so, for example, Northwestern not being in the poll this week, it is interesting. Same with Michigan. And I think those are the types of moves. Like we're going to see a lot of movement this early on in the season in these rankings and in these polls, and no one needs to freak out. The whole point is what ends up being the final poll at the end of the year and who wins. But it's just interesting to see how things unfold. I think back to last year when UCLA, they had a tough start, a really tough start. And then, of course, they end up winning the Pac-12, the tournament, and then going to the Women's College World Series. So it's still early days, but the chaos continues for preseason.
Yeah, so hard to put a number next to all of these teams with only 5-6 games under their belt. But, it's what the softball fans want and need. And so that's why we got to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it's fun to talk about, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
It's what we're doing with our days anyway, is paying attention and watching what's going on. So why not talk about it?
Exactly.
One thing to point out about Florida Atlantic too. So I think it's hard to say that any other mid-major program had a better weekend. So obviously you go from not being in the poll to jumping up to 18. That's quite the jump. Again, early days. But to have those 3 power conference opponent wins from 3 different conferences too. Ole Miss, the SEC, Kansas, the Big 12, and Clemson, the ACC. And I think they won in different ways too. They won in extra innings. They had a run rule. So we kind of saw a little bit of everything and them being able to get those wins in different ways, which is what every team will need to do if they want to make a run. And they were receiving votes in our preseason poll too. It on the field to actually push up into it was definitely impressive.
Yes, huge fan of head coach Jordan Clark and what she's doing and building down there at FAU. And obviously the proof is in the wins. So really exciting. And I think that program is only going to continue to get better, but she's obviously building something pretty special down there.
Agreed. Very much agreed. A lot of good softball in Florida, apparently.
Love it. I'm here for it.
I'd say who knew, but I think we all knew that. So
yes.
It's not new information.
Yes.
One question that's popped up a little bit too is Oklahoma State. Should we be worried about them? It's still so early, but they went 2-2 on the weekend in Puerto Vallarta. They lost to Florida State. It was a very good team. And they lost to Louisiana Tech. But they also beat Florida State in the first game before they ended up getting run ruled by them in the last game. So again, chaos. But what would you say, Amanda, to people at this point in the season asking, oh, should we be worried about a certain team?
I don't think you can be worried at all about any team this early in the season, but specifically Oklahoma State. I remember watching that first game against Florida State saying, oh my gosh, Oklahoma State is going to be a problem this year. Like they look fast, explosive, like just firing on all cylinders, taking extra bases, super competitive. And I was like, gosh, they are going to be really, really good this year. And then, before we know it, losing to Louisiana Tech and then having the getting mercied by Florida State. So, the game can change really quickly. But I do not think that it's something to be worried about. I think that they obviously have all the tools to be really successful and be a problem for every other team that they face. So that was my reaction watching them against Florida State day one. Like they are going to be really, really good this year. So they have that in them. It's just being able to be consistent and show up each and every day, which they've proven in years past that they're able to do. So I think that they're going to figure it out and be just fine.
Yeah. Credit to Florida State for trending in the right direction. They made adjustments, came out the second time, and that's a good sign for them. But also, considering that there are new pitchers in the circle that are new to Stillwater too, period. Ruby Malin, Riley Crandall, but they have experience. They're gonna settle in and get ready for the rest of this season. And they're a program that knows how to actually help transfers thrive. Multiple people becoming All-Americans after they actually transferred to Oklahoma State. Most recently, one of your league mates in the AUSL, the number 1 pick, Lexi Kilfoyle, as a perfect example, having gone to the World Series last year. So we're still, there's plenty more to see from the Cowgirls.
Absolutely.
And then just general opening weekend thoughts. So many things happening at once. It's like I feel like we're scattered all over the place, but it's like the best problem ever because there's so much softball going on. One thing, and then I want to hear your thoughts, Amanda. one thing that stood out to me was some of the returns. I won't call it a comeback because I'll let them show that on the field, but some of the returns that we saw from players who had been injured and now they're back playing. Jordy Ball, of course, with Nebraska, had her not only tore her ACL, but on opening day last year, like just absolutely what a heartbreaker. And then, as mentioned, they beat Tennessee, so she went up against Carlin Pickens. Tennessee, then number 6. Now they're top 5 in our poll, actually. But she hit a home run, threw a complete game, got the win, 7 strikeouts. Like, just so cool to see her do that. And another example would be, I would say, Devin Netz from Arizona. She had the back injury last year, and 3 Arizona pitchers went down actually right before opening day last season. It was insane what they were dealing with. So to hit those home runs, she had 7 RBIs as well in the opening day game against Michigan State. So just really not just the results, but just happy for those two and everybody in their position to be able to come back and play this game again.
Absolutely. Just to see them, thrive and playing fearless. Cause I think that's another thing that, is so hard, is not only coming back from the injury, but also like, you're obviously scared to do it again. So to just see them play so freely and happy to be back and playing without fear is what I was most excited about, and just love seeing them thrive and back playing and opening day. So much excitement, and especially like you said, Jordy doing an opening day last year. Excuse me. And so just to see her back and something about just the way that why she wanted to be at Nebraska, like really warms my heart. Of just, she obviously loves her home state so much and wears that jersey with so much pride. And that is a tearjerker for me. I just love to see people love the place that they're at. And it was really exciting to see her back.
It's hard not to root for that.
Yeah.
And I'll even see Oklahoma fans still cheering her on, and what she's doing in her career, which I think says a lot too.
Absolutely.
And also the theme kind of with what we're talking about is pitchers who rake. Also Devin, Jordy, but then Nigeri Kennedy, 4 for 11, 2 home runs, a double, 6 RBIs. And then she did hit the 3-run home run off Jordy Ball that sparked the comeback for them to beat Nebraska. But just, my goodness, talk about a problem.
Yes. What a problem, but how exciting for our sport. Like, that's the stuff that you want to watch. Like, speaking, I know I spoke to Coach Glasgow's interview with Justin earlier, but just the fact that he also spoke to like how hard Nija's worked to like become a good hitter and like really spend time learning. I think he said learning how to be a good hitter and just like learning more, trying to be better. So that's really exciting. Just diving into being a hitter more, not just trying to swing hard, but she's obviously really strong and powerful, but using that to her advantage, and obviously paying off. So it was just really exciting to see.
Well, and just somebody who's accomplished a lot, who still wants to get better, still wants to learn. That's why I think it was last week, Amanda, I asked you, I was like, you said you were really excited to be coached in the AUSL, right? And it's like, that's the sign of people who are true competitors. Is that doesn't stop. You're never resting on any laurels or anything like that. And Nigel's a good example of that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else that really stood out? I mean, we could be here for hours if we really talked through it all. But anything else you wanted to call out from opening weekend?
LSU freshman Jaden Heavner. She threw a perfect game in her first game against Charlotte, a freshman, like coming out your first start for your school and throwing a perfect game, like absolutely ridiculous coming from the left side. Like she looked nasty all game. Like how exciting for LSU to have a freshman pitcher come in and do that day one. I was really excited about that and just her future at LSU. Obviously she's planning on creating some problems within the SEC. So I love it. That's really exciting. And look at me giving some props to the pitchers.
Yeah. Look at you. That is growth right there. Proud of you.
Thank you.
But you're so right. The newbies just know what's up, because between her, Raylan Chafin from Mississippi State got 4 wins, including the wins against, if you want to say the head-to-head pitching matchups, Nija and Nebraska, right? And she's a transfer from LSU, and she was SEC Pitcher of the Week this week. So just
so awesome.
A lot of props to her. Also, our national pitcher of the week as well for D1Softball. So shout out to her for that too.
Love it.
I also got to see, because I was calling games at Stanford, first of all, it was so cool being in the football stadium,
Oh,
the
for
debut.
sure.
I mean, and I was there finishing the weekend too on Super Bowl Sunday, so it just kind of felt right
Yeah,
to
I love it.
be there. Yeah, I was like, I know it's football and softball. It's like the perfect crossover for us for our purposes, but I also got to be on the call for two freshmen who hit their first career home runs.
Mm.
And that's just special, right? Like
Oh,
there's nothing quite like those firsts that we're getting to see at this point in the season.
so special. And now when they replay their first home runs for the rest of their life and show their kids, they'll hear you on the call.
Well, and I take that actually pretty seriously, or that's very important to me, I
I
would
love
say.
that. I think that's
You
so
know,
special, such like a monumental thing in their life.
it's a privilege really to be a part of those moments, right? Because it is something that they'll remember forever. And I'll hear parents talking about like that they're going to go back and watch the broadcast,
Yeah.
afterwards and things. And one of them was Sydney Bulifin. She hit a walk off to run roll to end the weekend before the Super Bowl. Everyone got out on time to watch the Super Bowl, so she was a hero in multiple
So
ways,
selfless of her.
right? Like just for the team all day long. And then Joey Economides too hit one earlier in the weekend, and that's just fun. I love those firsts.
It's the best.
The other thing I have to say, because I can't not mention Long Beach State because they look solid, and I did get to see
Mhm.
them in person. They won all their games at the Stanford Invitational. Unfortunately, what was supposed to be Stanford's season opener against them was rained out, so I would have loved to have seen that matchup. But they no hit Fresno State. They then went to host Oklahoma in their home opener on Sunday and took them to extra innings. And this is a team that was picked by the coaches to win the Big West, and I think we can see why. They look like they're in a good position to do that.
Absolutely. It was such a hard fought game by them, like so fun from both sides, like seeing
Yes.
the way that they were fighting to the very end. I think obviously speaks to Oklahoma's being tested early in the season, seeing what these their new starters or their new lineup is going to look like. And obviously they're young, but that they're fighting and they're figuring out how to win. And Long Beach State not being scared. I don't care if you won 4 national championships in a row, like we're ready to compete. So I think it was just it was an awesome softball game.
And a sense of community there too. Patty Gasso throwing out the first pitch because it's her alma mater. Not everybody realizes that, right? But to have
Mhm.
them honor that moment, I think was pretty special as well. And her talking about how they're wanting to go to these different schools to help generate income and money and revenue for them and get them exposure. That's what it's about in the bigger picture too, with growing our game.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She being named the new USA softball head coach too, and you obviously gonna get to work with her in that forum. Like, how excited are you for that?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see what the roster looks like and keep my fingers crossed. But yeah, I'm really excited about, USA softball wanted to secure a head coach for the next 4 years and kind of commit to somebody that was going to take us through the Olympics and just have that commitment there, which I think is really awesome, just to have the security of this is who the leader is going to be and this is the kind of team/program they want to build. This is the culture, and just to have it for a long period of time working toward a gold medal is obviously super exciting. And I mean, she's won 4 national championships in a row for a reason, so obviously she knows how to win. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what she does for USA softball. With the Olympics being in Oklahoma City, she's obviously going to be able to create a really cool atmosphere. And I think also she's passionate about trying to make sure that these athletes have a way to make money so that we can make training a priority and utilizing Oklahoma and the businesses there to help us do that is going to be a huge reason why we are going to win gold in 2028 is having, that mindset. So yeah, I'm really excited. Very eager to see the kind of roster that her and the selection committee put together. And just excited to see where this program goes because, obviously I've loved my experience with the national team and I loved playing for Coach Tar as well. I think she did an amazing job, but very excited to see what this new era of USA softball looks like. And, above all, I'm just excited for the process and I think we're moving in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm manifesting you already on the roster. You already manifesting the gold medal. So here we're just a couple of manifestors, and I love it.
We'll bring it back, baby.
The crossover with the college success, bringing that to the international game, bleeding over into the pro game, all of that stuff. I mean, what a cool move by USA Softball to do that.
Absolutely.
So, can't wait. But, we were talking about some of the newbies as well on this national landscape of college softball right now. Well, we have a pretty good one that's about to join us with Taylor Shumaker from Florida. We are so excited about our guest today. We are with the freshman outfielder at Florida, SEC Freshman of the Week, D1Softball National Player of the Week, and NFCA Player of the Week as well. And I don't know, Taylor Shoemaker, did you know that you were all of those things at once?
I did not. I just found out that I was the NFCA Player of the Week, which is really, really cool. But I knew about the other two, just not that one.
Well, I think you earned it. You were 9 for 18 with 5 home runs in your opening weekend. That's not just good for a freshman, by the way. That's just good, period. So thank you for your performance. And you've said that Amanda is your favorite Gator. Is that right? She won't go here, so I'll go here. Yes. You're both lefty outfielders. I
forced her to say it.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's right. I forgot you paid her. My bad. I forgot about that.
Yeah, come on. You need to stay relevant somehow.
But you're both lefty outfielders. Both played for Batbusters. Both went from SoCal to Florida. The parallels seem really cool just between the two of you.
Mm-hmm. I've always been like not compared, but like knowing that she also played for Coach Mike. Like he's always brought her up like every time I do something, and he'll be like, "You don't walk enough. Amanda walked all the time." I'd be like, "Yeah."
And now you know what Mike tells me? He's been telling me for the last couple of years. He's like, you need to make sure you keep getting better because Taylor's going to steal your spot on the Olympic team for 2028. He's going to be on the team. You're not. He says that to me all the time. I'm like, there's room for both of us, Mike. And he's like, no, he's going to make the team over you. So that's just what he does. He's just trying to motivate and make us better and turn us against each other. But like, he knows that he can't make that happen.
In his own special way.
Yeah. I love it.
You can't turn Gators against each other. What is he doing? We know this.
Nope.
No.
Can't happen.
I'm honored to be in the presence of you two Gators, especially just because getting to know Amanda as a person as well. And I know that she has talked a lot about that with the program at Florida and how it builds you as a person, not just as a player. And you're in your freshman year, so it's still so early. So what's been hard about the transition, but what's also felt maybe natural about the transition as a student athlete?
So my schedule at home, I really tried to kind of maintain the same sort of structure that I thought college would be like. So my senior year of high school, I still did take some pretty hard classes just to make sure that I was still holding myself accountable, like academically. And then I also just made sure that I was in the weight room every day, like I would be when I came here, that I was making sure that I was holding myself accountable, not only on the physical side, but also on the mental side to make sure that that part wasn't too hard. And I think that doing that kind of made the transition easier, going from being at home and just doing travel ball, high school softball and stuff like that to coming here. But I do think like body-wise, like my body was really, really tired when I first started like working out. Like I had to focus a lot more on the stretching aspects of things, the rehab aspects of things, like making sure that I'm still taking care of my body and not just like, hey, I'm going to go hit and just ditch the stretching and just go right into it. Like trying to take care of my body a little bit better than I have been. Our dining hall facility that we have is amazing, and I've gotten much, much better at treating my body nicer when I eat. And I think that's really just the part that I am glad that I got to learn once I got here, but something that I definitely did need to get better at once I got here.
To make that a priority your freshman year, you are already like 3 years ahead of what I did. My freshman year was like so much freedom and food that I was like, yes, like eat to hit, let's go. So I love that you're already learning, like, if that's like advice that I could give to my younger self, like that's exactly what you're doing. So that like really fires me up. And obviously at Florida, you have amazing access to a really awesome dining hall and all the yummy, healthy food. But I also was going to ask about the transition, but before that, even like, why Florida? Why did you choose to be a Gator? Obviously coming from all the way from California. What made you think that Florida was going to be the best place for you?
So when I've gotten asked this question before, I feel like I always tend to say the same things. Like, I got recruited mainly by schools around home because that's just the schools that were always there at my games were the schools around home. But when I brought up going on a visit to Florida, everybody thought I was nuts. They thought I was crazy. But honestly, I grew up just watching. I'm like a lover of watching softball. Me and my dad love watching softball. So I knew that Florida was a really competitive program, that it was a really good school, that Florida was a state, other than the humidity, very much like California. So when I brought it up to my parents, they were very supportive. They were like, let's go, let's do it. So when I came out here, I had already been on a couple visits before, but just when I got on campus, it was like the facilities, the support systems that we have, like it was just like no other. It was like I was fully coming into a place that was just going to make me a better human being and a better player. And the fact that the coaches are willing to put as much into me as I'm wanting to put into myself was just really important. Like getting to fulfill all of the goals that I had personally, but also being able to have teammates who also want the same things, not only for themselves, but also for the team in general. I just knew that this was going to be a really good environment for me to thrive in. And with talking with the coaches, I just knew that they were going to give me everything that I needed to succeed.
Well, you said as well that one of the reasons you chose Florida, I've seen you say this, is because it's deeply rooted in champions. And I know that you won a state championship in high school, you won a national championship with the Lions fast pitch and travel ball, and then obviously chose to go to Gainesville. But why is that championship mentality important to you?
I am a very, very competitive person. I mean, when it goes to like going to Dave & Buster's with my little sister, playing board games with my family, like I want to win. But just again, like I said, like growing up watching softball, like watching Gator softball, being able to be exciting to watch, but also just like having a program where the process getting up to that point is just as exciting as the winning itself, I think just keeps the game exciting and fun to do. So like being able to be excited to compete not only in a national championship game, but being excited to get to the field and get to compete with my teammates at practice, I think just helps make, like, our process is hard, like practicing with every day and doing what we do is really hard, especially because softball is a game of failure. But being able to play it with your teammates and just be excited to kind of dive into our everyday practices and stuff kind of just keeps the game fun.
I love it. You spoke a little bit about how choosing Florida, you knew like the goals that you had for yourself and what you were willing to put in, like the coaches, you knew that they were going to match that. So coming in, what, just enlighten us on some of the goals that you have for yourself and just your career at Florida and what you're planning to set out to do.
I mean, obviously the big one that everybody wants to do is we want to win a national championship. I mean, we've been talking about it all fall, kind of trying to figure out just the personal side and also the trust side with winning a national championship. And I know personally we can set so many goals for ourselves and get so ahead of ourselves, but all fall we've been talking about being present where our feet are. And I think sometimes with setting personal goals, like you have, obviously everybody wants the big ones. You want to be an All-American, you want to win a national championship, you want all of these things for yourself. But I think at the end of the day, like without the trust in your teammates or without wanting to just perform for your teammates and being present where your feet are, I feel like you can get so ahead of yourself and not really like enjoy with what you're doing. So I think I'm just going to kind of focus on playing for my teammates and see where it kind of takes me. And I mean, what I achieve, but like without the trust of my teammates and being able to enjoy the process while I'm involved in it, I feel like none of that really matters.
So mature. You said it, Amanda. As a freshman, I can't even believe it. I feel like I figured that out maybe senior year, maybe, some of these things. So I'm very impressed by this. But I was going to ask about that too, just kind of dealing with and managing maybe the hype that's around you as a team and as an individual. Highly touted recruit, Florida right now in the D1Softball rankings, unanimous number one. Obviously coming off the World Series, all of those types of things. So you talked about how you individually kind of manage that. How does the team talk about those kind of things, managing big hype versus real life?
So, kind of like I was saying, we really took the fall as a time we started doing more like meetings together, like not only learning each other as teammates, but also like learning about each other as people. And so we kind of, like I said, like focusing where our feet are, like we were like, okay, no matter if we're number 1, we're number 15, we're number 5, we're number 30, that nobody knows about us. It's still every day going in as a competition. And at the end of the day, other people are good, but we are too. And not only do we have to beat other teams, but other teams have to beat us. And we really just think that at the end of the day, the only team that's really going to beat us is ourselves. And we really wanted to build up that personal side of it, like the trust, communication, like all of that, accountability, like all of those things. So that way, at the end of the day, the little things weren't going to be the things that tore us down. So, because we've had a couple of times where like we've had boosters come out and they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are number 1. What do you think? Oh my gosh, other people are ranked above you. What do you think? But I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to block out the noise and kind of just stay focused on us as a group and not really what other people are thinking on the outside.
I love it. I think I came up this fall and visited a little bit with you guys, and obviously just seeing you guys play a little bit on TV, it just seems like the vibes are so high and you guys feel like such a fun group where genuinely you all are like really happy to be there, but also like very determined to, maintain this skater standard and play to a really high level. So I would just love to know, like, give us a little bit of like the inside scoop on what the identity of this 2025 Gator team is going to look like, whether that's like the amount of heart that you guys have or just personality, because I feel like I see a little bit of all of it and I love it.
I mean, I love this team. I'm having the most fun playing softball that I've had in a while. Like, I love the fact that we're able to go make TikToks before practice and have fun and laugh and play our music and dance in the locker room. But then once we get out on the field, we can still have fun, but we also know that it's time to work and it's time to put in the time that we have to put in and not sell ourselves short while we're out there. But to be able to have like a balance between like being so much fun to be around, but also be like A-list competitors, I think is what makes it so much more fun. Like it's like, okay, I can in between reps like look at you and we can make a joke, we can laugh at each other, we can make fun of each other. You can mess up on a ball and I can make fun of you and you're not going to look at me like, "Oh my gosh, you're so mean. Like you're so rude." But like like be able to kind of playfully like be around each other. And I mean, this team is just so much fun to be around. Like we're so, I don't even know how to describe it. Like it's like we just have so much fun together. And it's not like, oh, I'm an upperclassman, you're an underclassman, so you have to listen to me and I'm going to tell you what to do. But it's like they did such a good job when we came here of just kind of welcoming us and being willing to teach, like not making us feel belittled by asking questions when we weren't really sure. Or like I know I can go to Kendra, Corby, Kara, Riley, like any of them about anything, and I won't be like judged for anything that I have to ask them. So like to be able to have a team that's just bonded so easily, I think is going to make the season so much easier, especially when it starts to get hard.
That's probably one of the highest compliments, in my opinion, that you could pay to upperclassmen too. So that I feel like that is saying a lot about your teammates, which is a big deal. I would also ask you in some of this team bonding. Okay, Amanda mentioned food earlier. Have you tried Gator in any form? And if you did, what did you think since you've been out there?
So I've been coming to Florida for tournaments since I was like 12 years old. I've been like, we did Clearwater every summer or every fall, and then we came out to the Space Coast complex a couple of times while we were getting a little bit older for nationals. So not in the last like 5 years probably have I tried it, but I did get to go on like one of those fan boat tours and like see a bunch of gators, and I tried it. I'm not a picky eater at all whatsoever. I will eat anything once, try anything once. I think it tastes like chicken, personally. I don't think it tastes crazy, but I mean, again, I'm willing to try literally anything.
I love it. I also just like tried it once but I'm like, I'm a gator. I don't want to be eating.
I know it's like weird
Right.
now.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
but
weird
like,
now.
yeah. So I also just tried it once. I didn't know and I agree. It just tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
You touched on TikTok, and that's like been a burning question in my head. I've just like am mesmerized by the amount of dances that you and Mia learn. Like I just think of like how busy I was as a student athlete, and like I add into now like you guys have NIL opportunities. You have all of these things that you guys have so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't, I'm like really struggling and confused with the fact that you guys are like performing at such a high level and seem like you're doing all the things correctly, yet you have so much time to learn all of these TikTok dances. Like, how long does it take you to learn a dance? Like, how do you have time for all of this? Like, I'm truly in awe.
So Mia and I send videos to each other probably like 10 a day. Like whether they're just like, oh my gosh, I think this is funny, and I just send it to her, or it's like, oh my gosh, this is a dance, we need to learn it. I'm actually struggling right now to find one to do today. I'm struggling. I've been looking for like 2 days and I can't find one. But we probably learn them in like less than 10 minutes. If I'm being honest, it's pretty easy. The learning part is easy. Then it gets to the point where Mia and I are so specific that it's like, okay, what hand are we doing on this? What side are we going to first? And then we probably film them like 5 times. Like if something doesn't look right, we'll redo it, or if we're making weird facial expressions because we're really focused, or like sometimes it takes a little bit for like the recording process, but they don't take us too long to learn. But yeah, we usually just make them like, sometimes I'll just like look at her and then she'll just look back at me and we're like, let's go, and then we go into the bathroom and we make them.
I'm so impressed. Like I watched every single one multiple times. Like just like they're so talented. Like I'm amazed.
Championship mentality for TikTok too. I love that. Mm-hmm. Attention to detail.
It's crazy.
Well, when SEC play comes, you have 2 new teams too, both who were in the World Series Champ Series last year. They're top 5 in the rankings, kind of some of these hype things that we've been talking about. But then also just the landscape of the SEC in general. It's a gauntlet. But you're going to get to host some of these things at the Swamp too. What are you looking forward to most playing in the SEC?
I mean, I think the SEC is probably, in my opinion, the most competitive conference that there is. And I think that was also another thing that kind of drove me to Florida, was just the fact that I'm a competitor and I love to compete. And to not only have teammates that want to compete, but also other teams in our conference as well that want to compete. And the fact that we have more teams that notice that and want to be in our conference and want to play with the same competition, I think is really cool. I'm honestly just really excited just to see what everybody else has. I think that's the coolest part about playing travel ball, is you get to be like, oh, I'm going to play against you next year. Oh, I'm playing with you right now, but we're also playing against each other next year. But like getting to see other people and kind of watch each other grow is really, really cool. And just to be able to have that type of competition, and I think it's just going to be really, really exciting just to see what everybody has. Like, no matter what the preseason rankings say, we see upsets all the time. You see teams that come out of nowhere, and I think just to be able to compete against a bunch of people that just all have the same goal will just make it that much more fun.
Gosh, so good. What do you think makes you an elite hitter?
I feel like that's a hard question.
No, what are you good at? Like, tell us why, what makes you you. You know what you're good at.
I mean, I'm a perfectionist. I will say that. I like to pay attention to small little things. I'm very much a person who likes to feel things. So like you can tell me as much as you want, hit the ball that way, hit the ball that way, hit it there, hit it there. It has to look like this. It has to look like this. But like my body needs to be able to feel what I'm doing. And so I think that was my favorite part about working with Coach Mike, was being able to just, like, he understood my need to feel what my body was doing so that way I could replicate it over and over and over again. And I think sometimes it gets hard to be caught up in what pitches to swing at and like what the pitcher's throwing and making sure that everything looks right. But at the end of the day, I feel like once I feel my body and I feel what things should be like, then it makes it kind of easy to replicate.
What are some of those small things that you think you pay attention to with your body that directly affects like how you feel?
I'm really focused on feeling my lower half. So staying in my legs, staying in my, just making sure that the lower half of my body is working. I'm really big on timing, making sure that my front foot gets down on time, making sure that my body's on time. And then just the path of my hands, like making sure that my hands are staying flat on the ball. But I mean, at the end of the day, I can do everything I want in the cage. I can swing as many times as I want, but game time comes and whatever works is whatever works.
The whole time that you're talking about Mike and how he understands just how, you know, you wanting to feel it. Like I can just close my eyes and picture him like slapping the inside of his knee, like yelling at us to make sure that we're feeling our load exactly where we're supposed to. And so I love it. It seems like, you know, he's given the same information that worked for so many of us.
Yes, he is.
How has that kind of translated with Coach Walton and the whole staff too? Now that you're playing at the college level, how has that kind of relationship with your coaches started to evolve in your career?
I mean, I called Coach Mike yesterday. Like I still talk to Coach Mike all the time. But I mean, I was very loyal to the Batbusters. I was a Batbuster from age 12 until age 18. So I got to grow a relationship not only with Mike, but also with Katie, with Tony, with a bunch of the coaches. And so to be able to still have them in my corner and still have them there, but then also have people like Coach Walton and Coach Thomas, Coach Anea, Coach Steph, who I don't really work with Coach Steph all the time, but to know that I have coaches who have only known me as a player for maybe they've watched me as a player for a while, but to only have been their player for such a small amount of time, but to know that they support me just as much and want me to do well just as much as the people who have known me since I was 11 and a half, 12 years old, I feel like just makes our relationship that much stronger. And not only does Coach Walton really care about how we are as athletes, like how our bodies feel and how we're able to perform, but I think sometimes it's cool when like we're hitting and he can just tell you're having a bad round and he goes up to you and he's like, "How's your family doing?" You're like, "They're good." He's like, "Okay." And he'll go back and just keep pitching. You're like, "Okay." But like it's cool just to have like small things like that. Like if I have a problem, I could go to Coach Anea about it. If I have a hitting problem, I could go to Coach Thomas about it. But also if I have a life problem, I could go to my coaches about it. Like just to be able to not only have that player to coach like kind of relationship, but also to have like the person to person relationship it's just like something that's really important for me, like to not only appreciate them as coaches, but also know that we can appreciate them as people at the same time.
I love it. So great. Obviously, just finished the first weekend, have a pretty hectic week coming up, and preseason is hectic every year, but obviously your first year, it can feel a little crazy. So I don't know. I was just wondering if anybody had given you any tools to learn how to relax or recover, and just what are you going to do to have some me time, especially throughout preseason, to get you recovered and ready to go for the next day?
I feel like me as a person, I'm very bad at like allowing myself just to sit down and chill. Like I'm constantly like, okay, what should I be doing right now? I'm not doing anything, but what should I be doing? So getting to have trainers like Caitlin and Lindsay who help me maintain my body, but then also allowing myself to find things that I also enjoy outside of softball and just getting to kind of disconnect for a little bit. I like to, we've been going to yoga, and I've been posting on my story about going to yoga. We've been going to yoga, which is really, really cool and really fun. I've never done it before, but like getting to just kind of sit in the room and like sometimes I do them with my teammates, so sometimes we're like, wow, we look dumb doing these poses, but at the same time it's like really relaxing and really fun to do, to try something new. But I mean, yeah, I just try to find like outside of softball just things that I enjoy, and I've been coloring a lot. Coloring books have become my thing just to kind of relax myself. So just trying to find like small little things that if like I have an hour of downtime that I can do other than just like taking a nap or going to the field or doing something softball related, that I can just kind of have my me time and kind of just be by myself or do things that I can also have other people with me but still feel relaxed, has helped me a little bit.
Adult coloring books are a thing. That is really, I mean, or you can use the kid ones, whatever works, you know, but it is really a thing. And I'm impressed by the yoga too. I'm a very high strung also, and so I'm not good at yoga. So again, the fact that you're kind of trying these things this early in life is very, very impressive. But now that you're going to get to, we happen to be talking to you right before you're going to get to play an official game, not a fall ball game, official game at home, wearing blue and orange, actually getting to experience that in your collegiate career for the first time. What are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, I feel like kind of when I was talking about like committing to Florida, I feel like you kind of get, when you commit, you kind of get that wave of like, okay, everything that I've done up to this point has kind of paid off. And I feel like once I stepped on the field on Thursday, it like was that whole thing all over again. Like it was like that kind of like, but I feel like it was so much cooler because at the same time I was like, but I'm not like nervous about it. Like I was stepping on the field, but it was like I didn't have imposter syndrome. Like I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here. But I feel like that kind of feeds into the fact that my teammates and my coaches like put so much faith in me and so much trust in me, and not only in who I am, but also in the process and like paying attention to how much that I've put into it. And so to be able to step on the field and just kind of feel relaxed and be able to trust myself, but know that my teammates and my coaches trust me, kind of, it was like a wave of like, holy cow, this is really happening. But also at the same time, like knowing that I put in the time and effort and my teammates put the time and effort into me for me to feel like I belong there.
I love it. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today. I am just so proud that you're a Gator and so happy to see you thriving in orange and blue. And it's just really just a joy to watch you play. So we're just so excited to continue to watch you and keeping you, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And say it with me. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye. Thank you.
She's awesome. Is it weird that I kind of want to be her when I grow up?
No, I'm obsessed. Like, I can't believe she's only a freshman. It was so fun to hear from her. And obviously, you know, the Batbuster Florida connection hits me here. So I loved it. And I'm super happy that she's a Gator.
When you hear her say that you're her favorite Gator too, like how does that feel to know that you've had that impact?
I mean, it's really exciting. I think like that just means, you know, she's liked how I've played the game, but above all, I'm just like excited, and I can't wait to see her like smash any record I have. Like records are meant to be broken. Like I just want to see her thrive. And above all, I just want like every student athlete to have the experience that I had. Like, so just to see people loving their school like makes me so happy. And obviously a Gator who loves their school hits me even more. So yeah, really proud, but just it's really exciting.
For the record, I think you're right. I think there's room for both of you on Team USA when the time comes. We'll see it all play out with the roster, but we don't have to choose here.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh man, so much fun, so much fun. And we saw so much fun on the field as well with all the awesome plays that happened in opening weekend. So you know what? Let's just dive right into the plays of the week.
And we're back to choosing some plays of the week. I'm so excited. I'm leading us off. And new year, new me. I chose a defensive play after the first weekend, and I will let that play now.
Thoughts, coaches there. 1-0. That's popped up to right. This could be trouble. This ball is Samantha Ray. Came out of nowhere from her second base. Diving catch in foul territory to end the inning. What a play by the sophomore Ray.
Samantha Ray, so much speed. Look how much ground she's going to cover. Just absolutely going the distance there. And then Taylor Kittleman has her back. She's so fired up and taking this momentum into the bottom half of the inning. The bat's looking to come alive.
Like, Samantha Ray traveled some serious distance to track down this ball in foul territory, ending the inning against JMU. But just a beautiful play. It looked like the right fielder was just like, hey girl, you got this. I'm just going to sit back and watch you do your thing. Like, she ran such a long way. I loved it. Fire me up, laying your body on the line so early in the season, getting the out. Love it.
Sports Center top 10, by the way, made number 6,
Yes.
Which feels well-deserved. She's only listed at 5'2". So just covering that ground too, full extension, all of it, here for it. Love that you chose that. Proud of you for choosing defense too.
Thanks, Jenna.
Also, have to give a shout out too, because D1Softball's own Eric Lopez from In the Circle, he was on the call. He was the one calling the play-by-play on that, and with Alex Powers as his analyst. So
Beautiful call, like always.
Like always. Agreed. Well, I have to say, another Sports Center highlight type of play, and not surprisingly for me at least, on defense is what I chose as well. Let's take a look.
317 average, very consistent hitter.
Is there enough room for Kramer? Oh my goodness, did she catch it again? Put it on the highlight reel. Incredible. Reached over the wall.
It almost feels unfair because it's almost 2 plays in one, sort of, but ridiculous. Like, that is something that's going to be played over and over and over. And I think her head coach, Trisha Ford, even said one of the best catches ever is how she feels. And the MLB highlighting it also is so cool that we had that crossover.
I love it. Getting the attention it deserves. Like, so good.
So good. I think I originally texted you. I was like, I think about an offensive play too. And then I saw this and I was like, okay, I changed my vote. This is going to be mine.
Literally play of the year nomination already. Like, that might be play of the year and it's only weekend 1.
Yes. And it was only the second inning. So I love that she came to play. Stay ready, right? So you don't have to get ready. It was amazing. And just finishing the play, fought for it. I think it was Mac Barbara who said in one of the press conferences, one of the post games, and she was referring to the whole weekend, not just this play, but offense, all of it. She was like, they don't call us the Fighting Texas Aggies for nothing. So I think we saw that on full display. And her teammate, the ground that the third baseman, Kennedy Powell, covered right there, she was right there with her, ready to support too. So both of those, all the different layers to this play, it just makes it the absolute best.
Yes, all in, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, man. I feel like the plays of the week are always wins that we take away, of course. But we do have, at a high level, the win and whiff of the week as well up next.
I'm leading us off again with our win of the week. So we'll put those graphics up. But I just wanted to give a huge shout out to all of these first-time head coaches, all females securing their first win. So deserved. We have Victoria Hayward from Nevada, Allison Habits from ULL, Emily Carasoni from Campbell, Courtney Brialt from Charlotte, and Kate Malvo from Auburn, just to name a few, but a lot of really great role models and showing their athletes that you can do some really cool things in this sport. Huge, just amazing examples, and really cool to see them and their schools celebrate them with their first wins. So just really exciting.
So cool. One of the coolest parts, obviously we talk so much about the players as we should, but the coaches bring so much as well. Like whether it's their first head coaching jobs like Vic Hayward, or they're back at their alma mater like Allison Habits, right? Or just former players who get to lead and pay it forward. I mean, what growth for their careers, but then also for the community as a whole. Like it doesn't really get better than that. So great choice, Amanda.
Thank you.
And on a different note, we do have our whiff of the week as well. So this is more so the fact that there's so much good softball and we want to be able to watch all of it, honestly. But the fact that it's just a little bit tough sometimes to figure out where to watch all of it because there are so many different networks, so many different streams, so many different things that we have to go through to figure out, okay, where do I get to watch this particular game? So the fact that things were on MLB Network, amazing. Flow Softball, they cover a lot of these preseason tournaments as well. It's just the whiff is just being a little bit overwhelmed sometimes by some of this, but it's not the worst problem that so many people are trying to stream and get us these games.
Yeah, definitely thankful that, they see the value in our sport and want it to be out there. I just want giving some lessons. I'm like, hey, did you guys watch softball this weekend? Like opening weekend. And they're like, oh, like I couldn't really find games. Like it was hard for me to find. So just, that's a huge whiff, is just trying to make it easier for these softball fans to watch such great softball. Like preseason softball, there's so many good games, and obviously it's ever changing. There's so many tournaments. We don't have like traditional series usually first weekend, so just so many good games, and like before you know it, we're on to the next big game. So yeah, just want these young softball fans to soak it up and watch good softball.
It just shows how far we've come too. I remember when I was playing, to age myself, the parents for all of us though, they would be watching Game Tracker, and there were these little stick figures going from base to base to show like they hit a double or where exactly, like what was going on in the field. And so now, ESPN again, over 3,200 games that are going to be on their networks this season. But we want everything, right? Because that's the direction that we're trending as a sport, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
What a week. I still can't believe that opening weekend is already come and gone. But also that we get to have so much more softball too at the same time. Like it feels like it's going fast, but also can't wait for everything that's to come at the same time.
Yeah, so excited for the season and what it's going to look like. I think that obviously we're in a bit of, after a 4P and a very different Oklahoma roster, it feels like it's anybody's national championship. And I'm just excited to watch the journey and see how competitive our sport, like it just gets more competitive each year. Like our sport just keeps getting better. So just really excited to see what this 2025 season has in store for us.
Yes, so much to come. And what's next, at least in the immediate future for us, quite a bit, not everyone, but quite a bit of the D1 team. We're going to be in Clearwater for the ESPN tournament. And I'm excited to go back. Last year was my first year this time, hoping that, half or more than half of the games don't get rained out like they did last year. So we get to experience the entire weekend. But so many good teams are going to be there, and excited to just get some of the band back together as well for D1 to be able to cover this sport that we love so much. And Amanda, I'm pretty sure I can count on the fact that you're going to be tuning in to a lot.
Of course I am. Softball is life.
Softball is life. Direct quote from Mandy Softball. You heard it. I'm not going to say you heard it here first, because I think that's probably the millionth time you said that in your life.
Yeah,
you heard it here.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we can't wait to have you with us every single week. But because you stuck with us, and stayed this long, a little gift for you with a discount code for a D1 Softball subscription. So if you look at all of our options on D1Softball.com, the monthly subscriptions, annual, whatever it is, you can save 25% off. Just use the code season25, and you can get so much good content, editorial content, written content, and it includes, of course, all the things we do, like Amanda and I with the podcast, but plenty more. If you want to just stay in the know on absolutely everything, our team's got your back. And with that being said, thank you, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us. Let us know what you want to know more about and hear more about, and we're here for it.
Thanks, everyone.